still goes on. The bullying is rife in our industry.
Is there anyone that you're encountering now?
Oh my darling, they're all around. All of them, every single one that I've talked about is still around. So even with the bullying, I'm getting myself emotional now, I'll have a tissue moment. What can I reveal about the 20th anniversary of Strictly? Well, let me tell you. Ooh, Buckingham Palace. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Would you hope, if when the investigation's done and everything, that Gio could potentially come back to Strictly?
You know, on Strictly Come Dancing,
So Shirley Ballas, welcome to Invite Only. Thank you so much for joining us on our podcast today.
I'm absolutely delighted to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, we're in TV Centre, which is obviously the home of Strictly, so it can be a more perfect location, really. But the first thing we actually wanted to talk to you about is your novels, because they've been incredible. How is it all? How have you found it?
Well, you know, first of all, I wrote my autobiography, Behind the Sequins, and it was about that long. It was pages and pages and pages. And then I was told that some of the stories that I put in there, I wasn't allowed to have in there. I was quite disappointed because they were my life. So my mum said, why don't you write a book in fiction form, and then you can write all the stories that you want. And then people can guess, did you take part in it? Did you witness it? Is it the truth? Is it a lie? Is it fiction? You know, you can do that. So that's where Murder on the Dance Floor came from, my mother's original idea.
And so is it the whole 9 yards?
It's more than the whole 9 yards, my darling. It's more than the whole 9 yards.
It's the whole 90 yards.
It's, you know, behind the walls in my industry, so not Strictly, but my industry. First of all, I have two jobs. I have Strictly and I have my own job, which I never gave up, even when I got TV at 57 years of age. So it's a look really behind the scenes of international ballroom dancing from all over the world, with some characters loosely based on people and some interesting, lots of sex, lies, intrigue, backstabbing, bed hopping, manipulation, murder, and a little ballroom dancing, darling. So it's all come together in this fantastic book that I wrote. So.
And have you had, it's been out for a while now, so this is now going into paperback. Have you had people come to you and say, hang on, that was me?
Actually, I have not had that.
You haven't?
No.
I'm surprised.
But the paperback version did extremely well. And then, of course, now we have the soft paperback. And I'm hoping that people will take it on holiday, snuggle down in the sand, you know, with the heat bearing down on them and sweating from reading the book. So we just have to be careful where you read the book. Don't read it on a bus with somebody behind you looking over, because it's very steamy, darling. It's a very steamy book indeed. You might need a bucket of cold water by your side whilst you're reading it. But yeah, there's some really great stories in there. I'm quite proud of it, actually.
Did you enjoy writing the racy scenes?
Well, I love writing cards. I'm a card writer. You won't get a text message from me for your birthday. You'll get a handwritten card. So I was good at English. My mother is an avid reader. She loves to read, my mum. And I like to write, and I write easily. So I did have a writer, which was Sheila Crichton. So she's an American writer, fantastic lady. And I sat opposite her and I told her all the stories that I wanted to go into this book. And she said to me, stop right there, I can't write, just give me the story. She was intrigued. And then, of course, she took herself off to the venue where the first book is written, which is at the Tower Ballroom in Blackpool. She had a good look around the Tower Ballroom and got herself familiarised and could picture all these stories that I was telling her. So she really, really got immersed in the world of ballroom dancing, came to every lesson I taught, every competition I judged. She didn't just write for me, she immersed herself in it, and she really enjoyed the process.
Was there any stories in it that you've kind of reconfigured for fiction that were hard to revisit for you?
I would say that this book, along with my autobiography, I would say both these books that I've written now are therapeutic. So I was able to get some things off my chest in a fiction form that actually were lying a little bit heavy on me. And I think sometimes when you talk about things or you write things, it actually relieves a little bit.
It's cathartic, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was really lovely.
Are there any particular things that you've got in mind with that?
No. If I give too much away now, no, they're just general stories overall, you know, things that I witnessed behind the scenes that perhaps people think may go on, but don't really know if they go on. And that's where it comes again. You have to think, did Shirley witness it?
Yeah.
Did she take part in it? Or is it fiction? Because what I've done is I've mixed all of it up like a big bowl of spaghetti. It's all tangled and weaved, and it comes out in this fabulous story.
Because I think you have been quite open as well about the sort of darker side of the industry in terms of the bullying that goes on, as well as the sort of racier side that we hope is as good as it is in the book, because it sounds great. But how was it kind of, does that sort of tap into some of the stuff that was weighing heavy on you?
Oh yes, I mean I was bullied from a very, very young age before I started ballroom dancing, living on the housing estate that I was raised on, because we didn't have a dad and we didn't have any money, and we'd have the school dinners where people used to, you know, make fun of you all the time, and then my mum's friends telling her I wouldn't amount to anything because I came from a housing estate. So it started bullying way before I got into dancing, but it really, really hit a climax when I was about 45, and then men at the top of the industry were really bullies. I mean, some of the stories I couldn't even put in my book. They're awful. And then at 57, I had this one, well, several of them actually. I write in my book, they say there's 9 of us and 1 of her. So I think because I was a hard worker, because I used to fly the flag for women or the underdog, because I was really rising in the industry, people didn't like that. So they tried to get me out. And then in 2017, I thought about taking a redirection for my career, maybe opening fitness centres. I talked to my mom, I talked to my son. You know, I didn't feel comfortable in the industry anymore. And that's when my son said to me, why don't you go for the job on Strictly? And I laughed at him. I said, Mark, 57, no TV experience. They're going to laugh at me. He said, yes, but you've got credentials and knowledge that you've been in the industry 2 years old, if you count your ballet. So I thought, okay, let's do it. So, you know, we sent off packing to England to try for this job. And eventually, as you know, I got the job. And then that gave me a platform to talk about bullying. And I found myself back in my industry where people were not being the same as they were before. Because what this job gave me, I was already set up as, you know, with a home and everything like that. But taking this job was not only amazing because I do what I love, but it gives you a platform to be able to write about things, whether it's bullying, whether it's health. My brother committed suicide, you know, I'm an ambassador for Calm, campaign against living miserably. So I suddenly found myself with all these platforms, and I was able to talk about the bullying. And I just say men at the top. I don't name them because they know who they are. And there was 1 or 2 women thrown in there as well. It's not an easy industry, not even now. I'm going to be 64 this year. And even though it's easier for me, it still goes on. The bullying is rife in our industry.
What's the worst thing anyone's ever said to you?
I've had lots of things where people have said things, but one lady in particular, she bought me this book, which was the Year of the Rat. And because I'm a September baby, and I believe the Year of the Rat is September. And she goes, I've got you this book, and it was all about the year, you know, September being a Virgo. Of course, you're the Year of the Rat. And over the years, people have said you're a gutter rat, you know, you come from low level. So you were reminded of those things all the time and never forgot that. But when I got the opportunity to do The Masked Singer, they wanted to give me all these beautiful costumes to wear. And I looked at it and I said, I want to create my own costume. And the lady looked at me, she said, well, what would you like, Shirley? I said, I want to invent a rat. And that's where Ratty came from.
I love that you reclaimed that.
And I wanted to make him gorgeous and big with some eyelashes, and so that I could put those bad feelings of being that gutter rat over here and have this memory of this rat that was gorgeous that I had. I actually used to speak to him. I wanted to buy him and they wouldn't let me. But I enjoyed every minute of being in that rat costume because he gave me a different feeling, and I was able to change my perception on things that people had called me throughout my life.
It's a real full circle moment, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. It certainly was.
You talk about some of the people still being around. Is there anyone that you're encountering now from your past and kind of showing them your position of power and they've maybe
Oh my darling,
backtracked?
They're all around.
Are they?
All of them. Every single one that I've talked about is still around in my industry. My industry is like a very small bubble. You know, probably like the tennis and like this and your world. You know, it's a small industry. We see each other at major events all the time. We see each other at lunches. We see each other everywhere and anywhere when it's ballroom dancing. So, you know, I can hold my head a little higher when I go in, but I'm never ever above my station, ever. Because my roots are the world of ballroom dancing, and I have been raised in this industry, and that's why I stay in it. So even with the bullying, I'm getting myself emotional. I'll have a tissue a moment. Do we have a tissue? Yes, we do, down the side of the sofa. I shall just have a little wipe there. Here we go. I'm sorry about that. Yes, so I see these people all the time. And when I look at them, I'm a very forgiving person. I've got some friends who don't forgive at all, and my mother's not overly forgiving, but I forgive them all. And I talk to them, and I move on, and I break bread with them, and I have a drink with them, because I don't want to carry their baggage. I don't want to carry it anymore. So, you know, life can be long, it can be short, whatever amount of time I've got here, I want to focus 40% on my charity work, you know, my cancer, my calm, all the different things that my Alder Hay Children's Hospital, to see how many people I can help in this lifetime. So they gave me an avenue I never in my entire life thought I would get.
What would you do now if you saw a younger dancer being bullied by someone?
Well, I stand up for people. I speak out for people. I try to change the perception of what people think bullying is, because some people think that they can just joke about you, how you look, who you are, where you come from, when in actual fact it's only funny to them, it's not funny to you. But you have to sit there and kind of smile, but it's not really funny. So I think that we're in a world now, they call it woke, we're in a world where we have to really be careful what we say and how we say it. You know, all my life I grew up with people saying I was too fat, I was too heavy, I was this, my teeth weren't straight, so hence I got braces on my teeth, and all the time criticism from a very, very young age. So that's why now when people have a go at me at my age now, it's like water off a duck's back. It's like, okay, here we go again. I'm sort of was prepped for this job, if you know what I mean, from my own industry.
It's kind of, it's a good thing that you can brush it off like that, but it's also a sad thing that you've had to.
It is, but I live with my mother who's 87, and she has a completely different look on life. I'm extremely sensitive. She's not. You know, she's very old school, born in 1937. What will be, will be. Yeah, I still remember the day when my brother passed away, and many weeks later I had to go back to work, and she looked at me and she said, "You hang your problem at the door and you pick it up on the way out because nobody is interested." And it was like, whoa. So she gives me really stark, sharp pointers throughout my life. And where the bullying is concerned, she always says to me, the issue is not yours, it's theirs. You know, and I just had like a big summer bash, and there was still comments, you know, your party sucked, you didn't have this, you didn't have enough food, you didn't do that, you didn't do that. Well, in actual fact, my summer bash was fabulous. Mm-hmm. So as my mum said, the criticism is always going to come, because those people that criticise you are miserable in their own lives. So they feel they have to lash out to yours.
Do you still have a sense of it though? Because I think you obviously had a really hard time with it one particular year on Strictly, and then you took on a team to sort of filter it a little bit for you, but do you still have a sense of...
Are you talking about the trolling?
Yeah.
So when I had the trolling on Strictly Come Dancing in 2017, I just didn't know what to do with myself, because I read every message, and nobody at that time had told me don't read social media, and I was new to social media. I didn't really have it before. And I wanted to read all these great messages where people thought you were doing a fantastic job, but they hadn't gotten over Len. And, you know, there's always criticisms. People would draw little graves with me at the end, with my face on, with a man digging, die, things like that. And it was really quite shocking. And then it carried on and it carried on. And I tried to deal with it in the best way, to a point where I wasn't going to renew my contract on Strictly. My mother and I talked about should I, shouldn't I? And in the end we decided that, you know, the British public are fantastic. You know, they really rallied round as they got used to me, and over the years they've rallied round, and it's been absolutely remarkable job to have. But last year I took on Harry to do all my social media, and he filters. So by the time I get in the car and I get my phone, I start scrolling, all the messages are nice. So Harry has taken all the...
through from the garden party though, that was what I meant.
Yeah, so, you know, he took all the bad messages off and helps me with my social media, and so good a job did he do. Now he's, you know, PA, and I don't really know how I ran everything in TV as well as my own life, so it's been great to have Harry on board to help me.
During that time of trolling, did you ever feel like you were in danger?
I did. There was one particular person that was kind of stalking, you can say, that is under investigation at the moment as we speak. I know his computer and phone, everything has been sort of confiscated. They was taking pictures of my house, they had my house, they had my car. So yes, there have been times when I have been fearful. I am a very vigilant person. You know, when I go out, I'm careful not to go alone. If it's at night, I'm just always a little bit nervous. What you read on social media, particularly with Holly and her experiences. So yeah, I don't take anything lightly, because there are many amazing people, but there are also a few strange people out there.
Yeah, it's so shocking, the Holly Willoughby case, isn't it? And obviously, having had experiences of what you said we can call stalking, that must hit quite hard for you.
It does. It's quite hard, and it makes you always a little bit more precautious. You know, you're up in your level of alarms, and I always tell my mum, you know, I'm here, I've arrived, what time, normally I wouldn't bother, but now we just have this thing that we always like to say, okay, I'm safe, I'm in the right place, I'm where I should be.
Do you think, I presume that you are, but has there been any conversations with the team on Strictly about security and about sort of improving it or anything like that?
So I can only say from my point with Strictly, their duty of care towards me has been 1000% fantastic. So in some of these instances when, you know, it was difficult and this stalker came from the north of England, I had somebody that was walking me from the hotel to here I just felt very well protected, checked in on to make sure that I was okay. So I have had that duty of care from the BBC for sure. And they have all mail and letters and different things that have come in over the years, that they have all that on file. So
yeah, it's such a shame, isn't it, when that happens and you hear that someone's had to report someone to the police, or, you know, those sort of situations. It's just awful that
it seems to be in every workplace now, though. There seems to be stories that you hear on a regular basis, you know, not just in my industry, but in a lot of people's industry. And of course, I have my Strictly job, which is half of the year, but I also have my own job where I'm going to and from work, and, you know, so I never work late at night anymore, that's for sure.
I sometimes wonder if it is sort of connected in some way with social media, because just people feeling more accessible, and people feeling that they have more of a right somehow to your personal space. I don't know. I think we're putting so much out there, which is great. It's such a great way to communicate with your fans. You know, you're a brilliant example of that, because you've been able to sort of use that platform for so much good, but you are giving people this access to your life. And I think for people...
We definitely screen what we give, though. We've definitely, particularly since we've had Harry, we're definitely screened what goes out, what we want to share with the public, because of course they want to see the person behind the desk, if you like. Yeah. But although social media has its ups, it also has its downs. I know, for example, my grandson, they're not intending on giving him a phone so he can access social media. You know, I think social media, I've been to airports, I travel a lot, where the whole family are just sat there on their phones, and nobody is engaging, nobody is, you know, not like it was years ago when we were out with friends and mates and things like that. So it's definitely, it's got its upside and it's got its downside. So I don't over-critique it, because it can give a lot to the general public, but also I just wonder, you know, first of all, I don't think people should have phones in schools, children. You know, there's so many things that if I could, I would love to change when it comes to social media.
It's a boundary thing, isn't it? It's setting the right boundaries.
I mean, I meet people and they really, the majority of people are fantastic, but then once or twice they lunge, this one particular person will lunge at me, and he really feels he knows me. He feels he knows me, but he only knows me from the TV, or like you said, from following me on social media. And that's quite alarming.
I was going to say, how does that make you feel?
Quite alarming. So, you know, I always have George, the guy who's driven me for the last 5 years, always sort of gets out the car first. You're always scanning to look and watch. And I wouldn't say it's the healthiest thing. You know, I like to be kind of like a free bird, you know. But we're coming into times now where you have to be more vigilant with yourself.
Do you miss that freedom? Is there any way you can go that you can get that freedom now?
Well, I do feel in my own industry, you know, I can go to competitions in my bubble. I can travel in my bubble where everybody just treats you as Shirley. So I have to say it is more on the other side of TV that I'm a little bit more...
Being part of a machine, that's the size of Strictly.
Yeah, it's a well-oiled machine.
Such a well-oiled machine. I can't believe that you've been there since 2017. It feels like in some ways I can't remember the show without you, but it also seems like it's gone very, very quickly.
I cannot believe that it will be my 8th series coming up. I can't believe it. I can still remember my son sending me over. I can still remember the awful audition that I did. And
in what way was it awful?
Oh, it was awful. I flew over, I had a bad back, I had this long evening dress, they put me with eyelashes and hair, which I was used to, put me in a room, there was cameras and lights, and Craig Revel-Horde, who I'd never met a day in my life, sat next to me. And then up on the screen, they said, okay, Shirley, we're going to flash some people on the screen and you have 15 seconds to critique that person. I'm sitting there ready. I'm thinking, oh, I've got this. And then up comes Anne Whitaker in a yellow dress spinning on the floor. I'd never seen anything like it in my life. And I thought, where do I start? She's so cute. And then Craig Revel-Horde turned to me and he went, you have 15 seconds, darling, this week. Get your critique up this week. And I just panicked. And then the next one up was for Ed Balls. So that night I went home and I was due to fly back the next day. And Louise Rainbow called me and she said, how did you think I did? Now, I won't use the language I used with her, but basically it was awful. Awful. She said, well, why don't you change your ticket, come back in tomorrow in a pair of jeans and a blouse, one cameraman, myself, let's give you another go. And of course my son, I sat up all night with him on the phone. I was in England, he was in LA. And we went over everything and I nailed it the next day and then they offered me the job. So, you know, a few months later.
They must have really had, I mean, understandably of course, but they must have had a lot of faith in you to sort of
Louise Rainbow, I believe.
Yeah.
I think she saw something in me. I think after that audition, nobody could have seen anything in me because even I thought I was rubbish. You know what I'm saying? So I think that Louise, I'd been out for lunch with her before and I think that she could see something in me. Yeah. And I think she pushed for me, and for that I will be truly grateful. And I think I've grown into the job, you know. On that first series I was quite strict because in our industry everybody says it as it is and they say it with this kind of facial expression. And I've learned over the years to say everything with a, what's that footwork, darling? What's going on with those legs? So I've learned, you know, how to do it and break down walls so that people can really see the real you. But it's taken time. I think I'm going into an era now for however long it lasts with a lot more comfort with delivery of my own messages. So,
what was it like, that first show?
Well,
what did it feel like?
It was, I would say, as terrifying as waiting for the result in 1995 to see a Corky and I had beaten my ex-husband at the British Open World Championships.
Is that the pinnacle?
So that was terrifying. That was terrifying. But just as I'm about to walk on, I still remember it was all white petals on the dress and it was lovely black and white. And I just moved one step forward and the zip went on the dress. And of course they're all panicking from behind, but they're already introducing the judges. So I had to mosey on so you didn't see the back zip, and then it got sewn up. And I just remember the sweat pouring down my back. And yeah, I was very, very nervous on the first series for sure.
But no one would have known that. You're such a pro that first went off.
I was nervous I was going to start coughing or choking, or would I get my message out in 15 seconds? Because if I critique you, most private lessons are, you know, an hour long or 45 minutes long or whatever. So I've got real time to tell you exactly how to improve what you're doing. So I need short, sharp bullet points that at least the teacher will understand so that they can take it away that we can work on it. I like it really to be based from my world, but delivered constructively, the criticism, but that you feel that you can walk away and think, okay, I can do this. I would never want to give that kind of criticism where people walk out and feel devastated that they can't put one foot in front of the other. So I am careful how I word things because people were never careful how they worded things with me. So I learned from that I would never want to be on the other end of that or be that person that delivers such a negative message that you leave people devastated.
Yeah, well, I think as you realise watching it how much people are putting into it and how much comes down to such a short period of time, that it sort of, it's the beauty of the show, isn't it, that you can see how crushing that would be.
I mean, it's a hard week, you know, they get, I think, Sunday off, and then on Monday they have to start choreographing. By Wednesday, they have to do camera block by Wednesday. Then you've got your VTs and everything that goes in between and filming this and dress fittings. And then by Saturday, you're live in front of 10 million people. And if you've never danced before and you have to do that, that I can assure you is terrifying. I watch them come down the stairs, you know, and I think I can tell who's confident. You know, if you take a Leighton, for example, he had that air of confidence. And then if you take somebody like a Bill Bailey, he looked like he was terrified. He grew into the part, he grew into the show.
That's what people love to see, though, isn't it?
They love to see that. They love to see growth and where people are moving to, but not everybody's comfortable. There could be actresses comfortable behind the camera, but dancing live, thinking you might miss a step or go off time or not be with your teacher, that's terrifying at our major championships, never mind in front of 10 million people who are just watching you through a camera lens.
It's like the kind of foundation of the show is so much about the pro dancers and how they're kind of keeping you safe, and they look after you while you're out there. They're basically your anchor if you're, through that routine to get you through. Is there a concern that with the allegations against Giovanni that's going to affect how people see the show, do you think?
Well, I can't really answer that question, but what I can say is that we have got some of the best professionals in the world. I mean, don't forget that Strictly Come Dancing is in almost every country. I think like 70 countries, 62 countries like this, all over the world. And we've got some of the best professionals on our show, and they're caring and they're kind and they're loving and they're giving, and they give all of themselves, because our professionals are actually quite competitive as well. They want the very best for their students. When we see a celebrity go off the show, you see their little face and my heart feels for them, but also the professional, they don't want to leave. So I think our professionals give absolutely everything that they can to the show. And as with everything in life, you have a choice. If you want to tune in, you tune in. You don't want to tune in, don't tune in. You understand? But this year is our 20th year, and it's absolutely phenomenal. And we've got an extra show this year where we will be highlighting all 20 years in one show. So it would be a shame if anybody feels they don't want to tune in to the most magnificent show on earth.
I'm sure people will always want to watch it. I mean, they've been watching it for 20 years. I think it's more, with reflection to sort of the people wanting to take part and feeling like, because a large part of it is like, I'm going to do this thing. It's absolutely terrifying. I am going to be pushed to my limit, but I'm going to be safe because I've got this person with me. And I suppose you sort of, looking at it from an outsider, you wonder if that might affect people wanting to do the show.
I think that's out of my lane. I am a person. Let me tell you something about myself so you learn about myself. I work for the BBC. I am there to talk about your feet, your legs, your hips, your arms, your coordination, your beautiful posture, and everything else that you do. And that is my job, and that is my lane, and everything else is outside of it. It's not my job. So I can't really answer those questions.
I think, because you have sort of spoken about the Giovanni situation before, and obviously said that he's always been a perfect gentleman to you, but obviously your stance in against bullying is very strong, which is a very, very diplomatic answer. Do you think the BBC would have preferred you didn't give it?
I can't answer that question either, because I've known Giovanni 10 years, I can say that, and I can just say that he's been very, very good to me, very, very good to me. I'm not a person that believes in gossip, so I tend not to believe everything I read, and I can suggest that to people because people have written things about me that are just not true. They're always trying to get a story on if I'm still with my boyfriend or I'm not. When they wanted to run a story last week that him and I had split, it's like we were on holiday. So sometimes, people want to write something and then they go ahead and write it. So I don't believe gossip, but the truth prevails. So we'll see where it goes. Yeah, I can only talk about the experiences I have. I don't know other people's experiences.
Did you teach him, Giovanni?
I did not. No, I didn't. But my mum's always been a huge fan, and he's always been good to my family.
We had him on the podcast last series, actually. We had him and Anton spoke to us about their show, which was lovely. Now
that's an amazing relationship, isn't it? With Anton, I've known 35 years.
The bromance was unbelievable.
Yeah, they've got great chemistry for sure.
No, it's lovely to see, actually. We had a lot of fun on that one.
Would you hope, if when the investigation's done and everything, that Gio could potentially come back to Strictly?
On Strictly Come Dancing, being the well-oiled machine that Strictly Come Dancing is, the BBC always seem to get it right when they choose who they want on the show. So we shall just wait and see what happens. But they will ultimately put out a fabulous show. How am I doing there? A fabulous show for everybody to enjoy during the winter months.
No, it will be amazing. Obviously, we've chosen this setting because it is very much connected with Strictly from start to finish. What are your favourite Strictly memories? You must have so many, but...
Oh my goodness. Well, every series that Anton de Becker's been on, I get to dance with him in the corridors, up and down, round, put a little bit of choreography on the stage as well. I've known him for 35 years. I've known Motzi 25 years. So I'm with a good team of people who are in my industry. It's unusual on Strictly Come Dancing all around the world that you have 3 that are from the same industry. And of course, Craig, I just adore. Highlights, Anne Whitcomb cleaning the floor with her yellow dress. Gangnam Style with Ed Balls, because they were on my audition. So I remember them favourably. Bill Bailey, an unexpected win there. Kelvin Fletcher, when he came out and danced a samba that was worthy of winning the whole show right there, right in that moment. It was the first show. Who would have thought he would have had those samba hips going? There's been many, and of course Rose with Giovanni, that will go down in history. One of the most beautiful numbers I think I've ever witnessed. Leighton, with all his athleticism and his way he took constructive criticism to end up in the final and do so well. So from the beautiful win of Vito and Ellie last year, which was absolutely phenomenal. She didn't do much dancing before, and getting to know Vito, I know him well, I've taught him before, but for the audience to get to know, he's as mad as a box of frogs, and he is who he is, So yeah, many over the years. I love them all. The Reverend who came down on the cloud, that'll be a memory forever. And Craig telling him he should have stayed on the cloud.
We were talking a little bit before this interview about a particularly hard time, the Christmas show that you had, where you were having some health issues behind the scenes. How did you kind of manage that? How did you cope? Because you'd had biopsies that morning, and then you're coming into the show and the lights are on and you're really uncomfortable.
Exactly what my mother told me. Hang your problem at the door, pick it up on the way out, because no one cares. That's what she told me years and years and years ago. So I remember when I had
I feel like people would have cared, though.
Well, it's just my mother's way of giving me strength. In other words, don't whine in your soup, don't sit there. You've got a job to do. You've got to entertain the British public. They love you. So just make sure that you're doing the best job that you can. I mean, when I had my breast implants out, they suggested I took 6 weeks off. Now, that was during the series. I had them out on a Tuesday, if you remember, and I went back to work on a Saturday, and I had all sorts of wires and this and that and the other. The doctors strongly suggested I didn't do it, and my friends and everybody, and I just looked at my mother. I said, I don't want you to comment. I just want you to get me ready for Saturday. She said, then that's what we'll do. So she took care of me. I removed everybody else from my circle, and I just had my mother who, was there with me. And the morning of, as I was getting into the car, and I just looked at her, goes, take a couple of aspirins. There you go. You're going to be just
Everyone
fine.
needs an Audrey, I think.
And she got me through, and I wanted her to get me through. I didn't want to let the public down. And I remember Alexandria, it was the first time I'd dressed in a tuxedo suit. I don't know if you remember, it was a black tuxedo suit with a beautiful blouse. I normally had all long dresses, and we had all sorts of wires going here and there, and she disguised them inside this suit, and I actually felt lovely, on that day, and I was really glad that I did it. So my mind always, I realise, is a lot stronger than other people tell me it is, because some people are like, oh, let's play it on the safe side. Oh, let's do this, let's do that. Don't do this, don't do that. You get one life to live, and I didn't want to miss 1 minute of being in front of the audience.
How are you now health-wise?
It's always ongoing. Health at my age is always ongoing. You get up one morning, you've got something else growing on your bum. You know what I mean? So bumps and lumps and all sorts of things. So yeah, it's always ongoing for me. So every few months I will be going to have checks. Get checked. Everybody, men and women. That's what I say. So I don't miss any appointments when they come through. I've got another one come through today. We will make sure everything else gets moved out if I have an appointment to go to the hospital or something. I take my health. I want to be around for my grandson. I want to be that 90-year-old nanny that, can see her grandson grow. So
what age is he now?
He is 8 months old now.
That's flown,
and
hasn't
I see him almost every day on FaceTime. My son and his beautiful daughter, my daughter-in-law, is fantastic. And but he's not a child that will be on social media at all. I can't share a picture, which was sad on the tour last year. Jeanette got to share, Neil got to share, and then it came for me, and there was no picture of my grandson. But that's okay. I see him every day, so it's marvellous.
How many times have you seen him in person?
I have seen him 3 times, and I will see him for the 4th time coming up. So.
What is he up to the moment? What is he saying any words?
Oh,
is he
crawls. He says Dada. He recognises me when he sees me on the phone. He is moving with a vengeance, already starting to go on his knees and pull up. He's already in his own room, sleeping through the night. He's a breastfed baby, so he's very, very happy. and all meals for him. You know, his mum makes everything fresh, so he doesn't get any junk in his system. And I think that she's just a very vigilant mother who takes the time with him. And she's fortunate enough that she could. When I had Mark, I was travelling all over the world and he was coming with me. You know, so they're older parents, 37, 38. And my son works from home. So he's a hands full-on dad. And I love that.
You must be so proud.
I am. What can I reveal about the 20th anniversary of Strictly? Well, let me tell you. It's going to be larger than life. It's got some phenomenal signings, you know, because sometimes we have signings, we don't sometimes know people, we learn to love them, we get to know them all by the end of the series, but this year we've got a phenomenal lineup, that I can tell you. And then they will be tweaking and manoeuvring and got some fantastic choreography from Jason, who's really excelled at the boys and girls go into rehearsals, I think, next week. So all those numbers will be done. The whole show will be lifted to new heights, which is, again, will be mesmerising, really mesmerising. Even I was a bit like, whoa, wow, really? So, yeah, I'm very, very excited about the new series.
Is there any, I know you probably can't give names, but can we say if it's a huge sports star or a royal or a big singer?
What I can say is I would hope, I would love to have a member of the public. How about that? I think it would be nice to stick a member of the public in between the celebrities and see how they do and to know how the show really works. And I would love to see somebody from the royal family, a beautiful Princess Anne, or, you know, Camilla is a huge fan of the show, you know that, right? The royal family love Strictly Come Dancing, and we had Kate there last year. And yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. And as for giving you any names, that's an absolute no.
Had to ask.
There was suggestion a couple of years ago that it might be possible to film some of Strictly in Buckingham Palace. We did hear that might be being revisited. Do you know anything about that?
Oh, Buckingham Palace. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yes.
Tell us about when Kate came to watch Strictly Come Dancing.
Well, that was on Halloween, and we were all up in our rooms. There seemed to be a lot of kerfuffle going on outside and around the corridors. I didn't really know what it was. And then the executive producer came up and told me, Kate will be here with the children. And I got myself so excited. And then, of course, I could see on the monitor the children were in the studio. They actually got to sit in the judges' chairs. They were so well behaved, beautifully poised. And then I asked if we could meet them, and we actually got to meet Kate and her beautiful two children. I actually got to give a little crown to Charlotte, and I gave a box of sweets to Louis. And Louis looked at me and he took the sweets and he said, "Thank you, but where is my crown?" So we had to hustle up a crown for Louis. And she loves to dance to Charlotte. She's a little dance things, going with a little bit of jazz and what have you. But Kate told us, yes, they're avid watchers of Strictly Come Dancing. They absolutely love it. And to have them on set and see them as a normal family was just remarkable, beautiful.
Was Charlotte talking about liking dance to you?
Very briefly, it was her mother who mentioned about her dancing, yeah.
How lovely. And Kate has been battling her own health issues, and we know she's been undergoing chemotherapy and has taken a step back from royal duties. Sounds similar to what you've endured. Is there any well wishes that you'd like to send to Kate?
Well, I think it was remarkably brave of Kate when she came out to talk about her issues. And I think the whole country wishes her the very, very best. And I'm hoping that she has such a speedy recovery that Strictly Come Dancing could be a place where she could come and have a joyous day when the show restarts again. Bring the children back. We would love to have her. And just wishing her the very, very best in her recovery.
It's so important that people talk about it, I think, isn't it? You know, obviously you have, Kate has, Amy Dowden, of course, as well. I think it gives people courage when they're going through it, and obviously encourages them to take the check seriously.
Amy is an ex-student of mine. I've known her all of her dancing life. And Amy Dowden, MBE now, might I say, for the work that she's done. And I've been there through her darkest times, and I've been there through her bright times. And I know that her brightest light is now that she's back on the show, because she was mortified when she couldn't go on last year. So we're wishing her the very, very best. I hope she gets an amazing partner, and I know that she's going to bring some great work. So, and carry on the wonderful messages that she's putting out there. I stay in touch with her on a regular basis. She's an incredible human being, and she does a lot for women's health.
Have you spoken to any members of the royal family at kind of events, and they've sort of spoken to you about loving the show? Because I think that certainly happened with Anton, I think, and a few
Prince
other people.
William, a while back, a long time ago, was at an event for men's mental health, and he was there, and he just said that they were, avid fans of the show. And I know Camilla is, and just various conversations that many of us have had on Strictly Come Dancing when we've met them. We just know that they love it. It's a Saturday night must. And she has my book, I sent her my book, Murder on the Dance Floor, Camilla, and she wrote me a beautiful handwritten letter back to say, you're a very busy woman, Shirley, and it's lovely to see you around. I'm looking forward to it. So I don't know how Camilla got on with that steamy book.
P.S. Who is this? And did you do this? And who is that?
Yes, I was hoping she would pass it on to the king and he could also enjoy it, but we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Royal seal of approval.
There you go. Put that on the cover for the next one, 100%.
Yeah, I'd like to get an endorsement from the Queen. Wouldn't that be wonderful? I'll have to research that.
I think you should. So it's because the new one is not that far off.
Dance to the Death, and it's out on October 10th. The new book will be out, Dance to the Death.
If we don't see Queen Camilla on the front of that.
I'm telling you, and I just want to say that Dance to the Death, this story is set more as a jewel heist. And this one will be set at the Royal Albert Hall. So if I say in my industry, we have 3 main events a year. The first one is in January at the BIC Centre, the United Kingdom Latin American Championships. Then the next one is in Blackpool in the May, the British Open to the World Dance Championships. And then the International Championships in October at the Royal Albert Hall. I've set this book at the Royal Albert Hall because I've been competing there since I was about 10. So I wanted this year to still have all that bonking going on and all sorts of things that go behind in all those little alleyways. But I wanted to set it around a jewel heist because I wanted those jewels to be somewhat incorporated with all the different kinds of rhinestones, the beautiful dresses, So I've got it based on a jewel heist at Christmas time, just when Lily and Susie Cooper thought the coast was clear to have the most remarkable Christmas. Somebody dies. Persephone falls down the stairs, or is she pushed down the stairs? Or was she thrown down the stairs? How did she die? So Persephone is one of the oligarch's daughters, and she's very rich and just a beautiful soul. And we have to solve this murder, and I'm telling you, you'll never guess who did it. So it's quite an interesting mystery. It's got all sorts of twists and turns within the Albert Hall. And yeah, I'm very proud of that book too.
Is your plan to keep going and keep going and keep going? Because it feels like you're brimming with ideas for this.
Well, the thing with my industry is there's always a drama every week and it's ongoing. So I just sit there and I sit back and I think, oh, there's another story for my book. Oh, I'm there, I'm there, I'm there. So I write them all down, and I think that whilst ever, HarperCollins or somebody wants me to write, I will write.
You're not the only Strictly panellist who've written books. Are you going to go head-to-head with Anton in the book charts?
Well, Craig's written books and Anton's written books. Yes, I actually covered Anton de Beck's books up with my books in one of the supermarkets. I had a little bit of fun with that, yes. We did have a little bit of a laugh there. They love to write. Anton loves to write, old style. And Craig's always got something coming out that's rather unique. And I think we're all in our own lane, so to speak. Mine is definitely loosely based around murder mysteries set in my industry. The next book I want to write, of course, will start at the BIC Centre in Bournemouth, start there, and then I was thinking that maybe the winners of that could then head down to where the cruise liners leave, and we could set it on a cruise. Oh yes, where nobody can escape what goes on that cruise. So yes, just a taste of the third one I'm thinking in my mind.
I think this has endless potential.
Talking about cruises, you recently went on one. That looked fabulous.
MSC Cruise Liner, darling, with my darling boyfriend, Daniel, of 6 years this year.
Who we've established you've definitely not split up with.
Oh, we have definitely not split up. So off we went on this 2-week cruise, and there was 6,000 Strictly fans on it. So everybody I met seemed to be a Strictly fan. But it was lovely. It was lovely. We met some lovely friends on there. We made friends on there. Danny and I like to cruise, so yeah, we had the most fabulous time on the cruise line.
And you were telling us earlier he's doing Glastonbury this year and you weren't tempted to join him.
Well, he's off to Glastonbury. He's going to be doing his Tommy Cooper. He's in a huge tent. He's going to have huge amounts of people passing through. But he won't become Danny Taylor. He does really become Tommy Cooper. So anybody who's going to Glastonbury, I can honestly say they should pop along and see him. I have no desire to go and camp. He showed me his tent, and as much as I love him, I will not be living in the tent on a tiny little bed with toilets over there and possibly a shower over there with no plug and socket to dry my hair. But I adore him. But no, I won't be going to Glastonbury.
I think one of the recent interviews we did, you spoke about the decision to not get married anymore. Are you still on the same page with that?
I am still on the same page as that because, you know, if it's not broken, why fix it? So we've been 6 years together. Of course, he travels a lot. I travel a lot. He's busy. I'm busy. We have a great understanding of honesty with each other, honesty and integrity, and I trust him and he trusts me. And he's very, very funny, and he can handle me and my stress remarkably well. I love the line that he says to me, you know, we've been apart, I don't know if you experience this, when you've been apart from somebody for a while and then they come back into your life, it takes a minute to readjust, it takes a minute. And I can be a little bit of a Nelly the nagger, and he'll say to me, reel that neck in, Ballas. He just makes me laugh. Danny has the most amazing sense of humour. He lives his life on humour. And he's just a people person. He's from Liverpool, you know, he's a people person. He loves life. And although he gets stressed, I get far more stressed, and he knows how to handle me. So our relationship is going stronger than ever. We don't need marriage or a certificate to say how wonderful. But I'm not ruling it out, you know, in the future. One, you know, it's today how I feel. As Danny knows, I could change my mind tomorrow.
How do you keep the spark alive long distance? Like, is it FaceTime?
Well, that's exactly how we keep it, the sparkle alive, because we don't see each other. That's how we keep the sparkle alive. That room of mine is heated when he comes back, you know, and it's marvellous. I love it. There's not a dull moment. And thank God my mother's deaf. Oh, and Harry's at the other end of the house.
It seems like you're all sorted. You've got the perfect setup.
It's perfect for Danny and I. You know, to each his own. It's a perfect setup for him and I. And as long as we communicate on a daily basis, you know, we support each other, we support each other's family, I support his career, he supports mine, then, you know, who knows down the line where it's going to go. But for right now, I can honestly say that we're happier than ever. The best invite I think I ever had was being invited to Buckingham Palace to give out one of the Duke of Edinburgh awards. I got to go with my mother. I met many, many beautiful people who do great work, and I would have to say that that was one of the best invites I ever had.
Amazing. And is there an invite that you haven't had that you would still love to have?
Yes, I would like to go to dinner with Tom Jones. So please, Tom, if you're listening to my podcast, I have not met you, but I've been a fan of yours since I was a little girl, and so is my mum. And I would absolutely adore to meet him, go to lunch with him, or be part of even an invite to the show that he does, The Voice, anything, just to meet Tom Jones.
There you go.
Let's make this happen.
Let's make it happen. Please make it happen for my mum and I.
Well, there you go.
Let's make this happen.
Let's make it happen.
Make it happen for me, girls.
Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
So pleased.